All right, it is time to go with the RR Show. I am Vince, and we got 4 stories from r/petty revenge. As always, if you haven't done it, would you please share this show with a friend? And let's get jumping into this episode of the RR Show right now. Our first story is posted by user Blumpkin Dude, of course, on the subreddit r/petty revenge. Paid college tuition in nickels. This was 100% me being petty. Here's why. I went to a community college for a while, and as a part of my degree plan / pathway to transfer to the university I was going to, I needed a specific class. But the community college I went to didn't offer it. Another community college in the same district did, though. The problem was my scholarship didn't cover it up front, so I had to pay the tuition for the one class and get reimbursed later. So I went to go enroll in the class because it was such an obscure class, I had to go deal with it in person. They make you go through several steps. So you had to see an advisor, then they would tell you whether you were doing the right thing for your degree plan. This advisor was a moron. I actually wondered if she could even feed herself with a spoon without putting her own eye out. After she was finally able to locate the course, which took some difficulty since she kept looking it up in the wrong area, her response when she pulled it up on the computer was, "Why do you want to take that class? That looks hard." Even though I had already explained twice what I was doing and why. After some completely unnecessary haggling, she signed off on me being able to enroll. So after that, I just needed to visit the cashier and pay. But the cashier was every bit as stupid as the advisor, possibly even more so. When I explained that I was paying for one single course, she tried to tell me that I needed to be enrolled full time and that she could not do anything. I had to go get an actual note from the advisor that gave me an override, even though it wasn't necessary, to let me give them actual money. When I got back to the cashier, she looked at the paperwork and seemed very upset. Apparently, I was making her have to do things like her job. She said that I should change my major because having to do the extra work on her end was too hard and she didn't feel like doing it. Thank you, unsolicited opinion. She then told me they couldn't accept payment that day for some made-up reason, and I had to come back the next day. After that, I decided I was going to annoy her. So in the morning, I went to my bank and got the entire tuition in nickels. It was like $300 roughly. Then I proudly walked into the cashier's office with a box full of nickels that I had gotten about halfway through unwrapping. The cashier was there and said she could take my money now. So I picked up the box of nickels and said it was all there. The look on her face was priceless. If you could capture equal parts of anger, disgust, irritation, sadness, and despair wash over her in about 2 seconds after her smug look when I first walked up, it would have been a work of art. I had to wait around a while she counted the nickels, and it was worth it. Once she finished, I got my receipt and left her wondering what she was going to do with all those nickels. So that was my petty revenge story. Worth it. Our next story is coming from user Bob Ross Chesthair. Tell me you won't renew my contract on my birthday? I'll hack your soda machine. I had my first real job at a supermarket about 20 years ago as a stock girl, where I started right after my 16th birthday, when you can legally work evenings in my country. I made barely any money, but did make a lot of friends, worked hard, and loved it. The boss was not a good employer. He regularly made us stock until after midnight, around the holidays, even 2 a.m. Very illegal for 16, 17-year-olds, etc. What happened to a lot of us was that when you became 18, your wages got a little bit higher by law, and that's when you'd get fired. I knew chances were I would be out too, but when he passed me while I was stocking and said happy birthday, meet me in the office in 15 minutes, I thought I might have a shot at another year because he never fired anybody on their birthday before. Maybe he would renew me as a gift. He didn't. I was informed I could work the final 2 weeks of my contract, then I would be out. Time for petty revenge. This was also the era where the old soda and candy machines slowly got replaced with more modern digital ones. The break room had one of those older soda machines, which the boss stocked with soda cans that soon would be or were recently out of date, so he could still make money on them and us. Giant brand name on front, 6 to 8 buttons in a row from the top to bottom on the side for choosing, and a money slot. You probably know them. I had learned on the internet that when you press the top 4 buttons in the right order, you would get the secret manufacturer menu where you could mess around with the settings. I was smart about it. If I made the cans free, he would figure it out fast, as there would be no cans, but also no coins. So I got the machine to give out 2 cans for the price of 1. I myself could only profit from my revenge for 2 weeks, but it felt good that I could also leave my friends with sodas for €0.25 a piece. Also, teach it to a trusted friend in case it was changed back. Heard through the grapevine that the boss did find out later that year that someone messed with the machine, but as cameras in the break room were illegal, it never came back to me. Small revenge, but it still fills me with satisfaction. Coincidentally, for my next job, I learned how to get into the manufacturing mode of different kinds of medical machines, again by pressing buttons in the right order so I could change the settings in what the doctors wanted for their patients. Made me feel like the universe had wanted me to mess around with the soda machine so I could be ready. The next story in this r/petty revenge episode comes from Xbox Gamer 2122. You live by the speakerphone, you are shamed by the speakerphone. I worked at a cubicle farm. There were 4 rows of 4 cubicles. There was one coworker who never used the handset on his phone. Every call he made or received was made using the speaker. He also tended to shout into it, even though it wasn't necessary to raise his voice to be picked up by the microphone. There had been a few complaints from some of us to him, but he ignored them. One Monday morning, he called a doctor's office to report that he was having urinary troubles. He made an appointment for the next morning at 9. Then he called our boss to say that he'd be coming in late tomorrow. All of this was broadcast via speaker and loud voice. I talked my wife into calling his extension the next morning while he was at the doctor's office to leave a message, using a script I wrote out for her. She did, and left the message on his voicemail after blocking her caller ID. When he arrived at the office after the doctor's appointment, he started listening to his voicemail messages on speaker. The first was work-related, but the second one was the one my wife left for him. It said something like this: "Mr. Smith, this is Jane from Dr. Smith's office. We need you to come back here today if possible. You were supposed to give us a urine sample and not a semen sample." He quickly punched the end call button, but it was too late. The whole cube farm erupted in laughter. He knew that it had to be one of us, but didn't recognize the voice. He never used speakerphone again. Our final story in this r/petty revenge episode is going to be coming from user LegalGazelle9080. Overcharged me at the nail salon and led to chaos. I got my nails done this morning at the same nail salon I've been patronizing for almost 2 years. It has 1,000+ great reviews online, and they always have done amazing work. They don't post their prices anywhere, but I've always paid $40 to $50. However, it hasn't been consistent. As in, sometimes I'd be asked to pay $50 and other times later $40. When asked about the price, usually when it was $50, they would say got a nice discount at $40 and that the standard was $50. The $10 never bothered me, so I never made a fuss about it and kind of chalked it up to more inexperienced front desk workers not tracking it well to the established price. I have also gotten into the habit of asking for the price before they start, but forgot to ask this morning because I was just getting my normal nails. Today, I finished up my appointment and the front desk told me it was $70. I was surprised because I got them done last month and I'm pretty sure it was only $40. The lady said prices went up, which I felt should have been stated somewhere, but I know that businesses are nervous about the economy, so I understand a hike. I paid my bill and internally decided to find a new salon. Not because they did anything wrong, but paying $70 for nails isn't worth it for me because there's cheaper places around, given the quality will almost definitely decrease. After I paid, I realized I left something at my seat. I had been quietly chatting with the lady sitting next to me during our appointments, and we were getting the exact same service in different colors. As I went to grab my bag, I couldn't help making a quiet comment to her that $70 for her nails is crazy. Yes, this was a complaint, but also wanted to warn her about what to expect. She immediately got agitated and asked her nail tech how it could be this much, because she never paid more than $30 for the service. She looked like she's going to cry, and she didn't have $70 for the service today. Her nail tech quickly tried to do damage control and said that since she was such a loyal customer, her price would be $30. This didn't really calm her down though. She asked how long I'd been going there and I said 2 years. And she said she'd been coming there for less than a year. At this point, the customers at the busy salon started paying attention to what was going on. And a few 7 to 8 other people started sharing what they paid for their nails, and it ranged from $30 to $70. At that point, I had my bag and no reason to stay. But as I left, almost the whole salon was getting heated with everyone realizing that they actually don't have a set price for their services and just charge as much as they can get out of you. I will definitely be leaving a review, and something tells me that the others there will as well. So thanks for being with us. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcasts and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, please follow or subscribe to our show wherever you get your podcasts. And if you're feeling extra nice, you might as well leave a 5-star review. But for more, visit the website, rrshow.com. That is rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince, and we'll see you next time here on The RR Show.